We are in Parashat Tetzaveh. This shiur is dedicated to the refuah shlema of Chana Aliza bat Shendel Nechama, Chaim Israel Halevi ben Batya, Shimona Natana bat Chana, Abraham ben Esther, and to the Hatzlacha of all those who help and support us in our efforts in the Yeshiva, Mike, Karen, Arsen, and everybody else. Last week we had Parashat Terumah, right? And Parashat Terumah dealt with the building of the Mishkan, and we said that the Zohar teaches us that the appropriate way, or the Kabbalistic way to read the word Terumah is Tarum Hashem. In other words, you need to elevate everything towards Hashem. In other words, we have within our abilities to lift and elevate our reality to a totally different level. And that the letter Hey represents higher level, and that level could be reached, and that reality, high level reality, could be reached by giving from yourself to others, doing kindness, chasadim, and awareness of Kedusha. Kedusha Kedusha is holiness, cannot come to a person who is not aware of what he's doing. You need to elevate yourself to the level of Kedusha, and then you'll be able to tell the difference between holy and unholy, and so on and so forth. So you need to have very good situational awareness. If you do things and you don't know why you're doing them, I would be a little concerned, because then you're going to be in a problem of not being holy. And this week's Parashat Tetzaveh, is a direct continuation of last week's Parashat, and mainly deals with the issues of Kohen Gadol and his clothing and so on and so forth. Practically speaking, if we look at this way, most of us have really nothing to do with the parasha that deals, as we said before, with Kohanim. Even the Kohanim that we have today, it's like kind of far-fetched from them. It's far, whether we say Kohanei Chazakah or the practice of Kehuna. However, since the destruction of Beit HaMikdash, the word Kohen kind of lost a little bit from its meaning and its strength. Because the Mikdash, the temple, by the way, anybody knows again where the Jewish temple?
Temple Mount, Harabayit. In
Harabayit. And where was that? Yerushalayim. How do we also call Yerushalayim? Jerusalem. Wow, man, you could be a rabbi. There was no Al-Aqsa then, right? No. There was not even Islam at that time. Those of you who forgot, I just want to remind you. Beit HaMikdash, the Jewish temple, was the center of Judaism, the eye of the hurricane of Judaism. Everything was evolved Beit HaMikdash. And together with that, the Kohanim that served the Beit HaMikdash had a totally different lifestyle than the Kohanim of today. The Kohanim of today is like a remnant, like few things in there of what the Kohanim used to be. However, in a way, we all today became somewhat Kohanim. In other words, the avodah, the factor of worshipping, which everything was around Beit HaMikdash, became now very personal. Very personal to the fact that, in a way, the avodah is for me. When I say korbanot and uneshama parim siftatenu, as it says in Hosea, I don't need now to have, I don't need Jesus to die for my sins, and I don't need to bring lamb right now. The whole avodah, the whole worship is me individually praying and doing what I'm doing. So in a way, we all became somewhat of Kohanim. So And I think that the reason for that is to make the pasuk come true. V'asu li mikdash v'shachanti betocham, and I would dwell among them. When the temple is inside of me, and I'm the priest, and so on and so forth. So, in other words, each and every one of us gets a certain responsibility and the opportunity to create a temple and to create holiness, to that matter, in anything that comes your way. That means sanctifying your life, sanctifying your house, sanctifying your marriage, your business, and so on and so forth. The tool in which guides us in that process is no other than halacha, the Shulchan Aruch, like Shulchan Alechem Apanim. That's our manuscript in which we work. Now, those who throw away halacha, they throw away any chance of holiness. And before you know, they do everything that is absolutely the opposite of what the Torah, and that's the unfortunate truth that happened, and reality that happened with conservative and Reform Judaism. They threw halacha out of the window, and together with that, all the holiness went out of the window. Actually, holiness did not go out of the window, it went out of the front door. Unfortunately. And I'm saying unfortunately because after all, these are Jews that are our own flesh and blood, and it's a shame that they're simply going to waste. Simply. Very rare to find today conservative and reform, 100% Jews that are third generation conservative and reform. Very hard to find. Very hard to find. They are not intermarried or anything like that. Good luck. So it says in the pasuk, "Ve'ata tetzaveh et bnei Israel." Ve'ata tetzaveh. And you. Why it says? I mean, that's grammatically not correct. It should say "ata tetzaveh" or "tetzaveh." Vayomer Hashem el Moshe tetzaveh et bnei Israel. Ve'ata tetzaveh. So it's very interesting. If we're going to look at Onkelos, the Tirgum, the translation of Onkelos from Hebrew to Aramaic, it says "Ve'at tifkad."
Count.
To teach us. Now, lefaked is to command, to take charge. Ve'at tifkad. In other words, there's a remez here to teach us that we have to take control over our lives. You need to take control over your lives. And we need to understand that we are the Kohen, we are the priest, and we are commanded to make tremendous changes in ourselves and in our lives as well, that the whole essence of that is to be able to create and to control, to create a reality that is a reality of holiness, and to control that, to make sure that no intrusion of impurity penetrates into your life. So that's a very big hint here for how we're supposed to live our lives. We need to be able to commend, to order our own reality of our lives. When somebody else controls the reality of your life and tells you what to do, and you like a little doggy runs and do it, you have no control over your life. And unfortunately today, with the tremendous, we want to think that it's all about us and we have the right and we're doing this and I can determine and I can determine. You don't determine anything. All you're saying is, regurgitating information that somebody told you. You don't have control over your lives. You don't have any control over what. Let me tell you this way. You're watching, this channel or that, listen to this music program and so on and so forth. Most of the music that you listen to, most of the, call it movies that you watch or clips that you watch, are not really yours. They are being suggested to you. So you're not listening to what you want. When I was a kid, when I was young, I used to experiment in music. I used to go to the I used to go to the record store, right? And I used to just try it. That's how I came to love types of music that I never thought I would love. Whether it's jazz or, I always liked blues for whatever reason, don't ask me as a kid. Whether it's jazz, whether it's country music, whether it's Baroque music, whether it's opera, Arabic music, Turkish music, just, experiment. But today, if you're going to go to this one, the algorithm determines what you're going to listen to next. It's fascinating, but you listen to your music that you don't even love, you've been programmed to love it. And it's disturbing. It's really disturbing. So you're not in control over your life. But you're commanded to gain control over your life and to create a reality which is a Torah reality of your life in order for you to act as a free person. Therefore, we have to remember, first of all, and we need to understand and to accept that this is our job to become Kohanim, to become holy priests. Mamlechet Kohanim vegoy kadosh. A nation of priests and a holy nation. In other words, we need to act and behave like a Kohen Gadol in Beit HaMikdash. Think about all the little things that Kohen Gadol could not have done or would never do in the Beit HaMikdash. You'll see how far we are from where we need to be. And that needs to be in your house, at work, and everything that comes your way needs to be according to that. Everything. So the parasha has a long and lengthy explanation, description of the clothing of the Kohen Gadol, and we're not going to go into what is this one for, and what this one represents, and what this one comes to be mitaken. Not so much. But it seems like the Torah is very, very particular about every detail about the clothing. And it's really to teach us to be very careful and very meticulous about the purity of our dwellings, of our clothing, and our actions. Otherwise, and now pay attention, otherwise you cannot command, control, and create your own reality of your life. You're not going to be able to. So if we'll put it into words, all these things work hand in hand. And as much as the Kohen Gadol is pure, we also have to be pure in our lives as well. And we need to pay very close attention. Is that something that is appropriate for a person? I mean, we all think that we are so spectacularly, wonderful. But let me ask you a question. Did you ever measure your own actions at your own privacy of your home to the image in which you try to portray to others in the street that being so and so of who you are? And that's why we have a gap between, who we show everybody we are and who we really are inside. Nobody, I cannot say nobody, but very few people choose to make themselves better and actually do something about it. And I'm going to tell you something. That's a mistake that many people do. Let's say, for example, right, Avner? Let's say, for example, you want to learn martial arts. I love martial arts. Let's say you want to learn martial arts. You want to be an expert in martial arts. Well, let me ask you a question. Can you be an expert in martial arts just reading about it? No. Can you be an expert in martial arts watching Bruce Lee movies all day long? Well, no. If you want to learn martial arts, you got to do what? You got to go to the dojo and every single day and practice for 3 hours a day, and then you need to come home and then put another hour or two, and then we can say, okay, the guy is doing something. How many people are actually thinking about improving their own self to begin with, and then how many people actually putting that will to fix yourself into action? And just like a black belt, you're not going to get it in 2 years or 3 years. It's going to take you 10 years to get it, unless you're like spectacular, unless you're practicing 12 hours a day. But how many people are going to spend this time to do it? And most people say, "Oh, listen, I tried for a week to do teshuvah, it doesn't work." It doesn't work. Whether it's your New Year resolution that we adopted from foreign cultures, or to the process of teshuvah. In other words, you put it now, and maybe in 10, 20 years, you'll see that you became a different person. You won't recognize yourself.
Didn't we have the whole thing about New Year's resolutions before as well?
No, we don't make resolutions. We make teshuvah. We give an answer for what we did wrong and how we're going to fix it. Jews don't do resolution. Resolution came from other sources. Let's put it this way. Okay?
So what's the whole thing on Yom Kippur and Kol Nidrei?
Yom Kippur is not, Kol Nidrei is not about resolutions. Now, how does it really work? Is the description with the clothing of the Kohen Gadol just a matter of color? I mean, because he wears white or he wears blue, so if I wear white or blue, so I'm going to be holy? I mean, this is all what is there anything beyond that? Just the clothing. So let's just look at what we have and what we're dealing with. So we always come across people, with our workplace and so on and so forth, whether it's at work or at school, and many times it's important for them, it's important to speak. You need to speak. However, and sometimes you need to speak and you need to speak a lot. That's why I was not a good salesman, because I don't like to speak and to speak a lot. Speaking is also a form of communication between people, to communicate. How are you? You ask and you talk and so on and so forth. However, it's also a bridge to, or vehicle or instrument to pass information and knowledge, and that's what we're doing here. However, many times along the line is also a tool for self-promotion and self-advertisement and so on and so forth. That's why you got to pay attention, not only what you talk, in terms of lashon hara, gossip, but who you are talking to. However, there's another thing, another form of self-marketing that people want to sell themselves or send an image, which is, of course, is clothing. So, in the past, and I'm not talking of such a far past, and I remember this when I came to the States, everybody was wearing a suit and tie. Everyone. You went to work and wore a suit and tie. You were a teacher, you wear a suit and tie. Everybody was wearing a suit and tie. You were a clerk, you were an accountant, I don't know, you wear a suit and tie. Even today, even in Israel, when it gets really hot and humid and so on and so forth, there are some people in top positions that like to wear a certain garment, whether it's a suit that shows authority and respect for the position. I mean, you see it. There's a concept that's called power tie, and politicians are very particular about what color tie they're going to wear to project a certain authority. So they will put a red one or a blue one, and it's a whole supposedly art by itself, because you're projecting something with your clothing. Let's say you're working in a startup, some kind of a startup company, or you're working in one of those .com, without getting anyone, because I don't want to get censored out. So over there you're not going to wear a suit and tie, because the whole atmosphere is like kumbaya. Let's sit down and let's go hit the coffee machine before we do anything, and then we're going to do some yoga before, and we spin around, and so everybody comes with very relaxed and so on and so forth outfit, right? That's why I don't like the whole working and home business, because I was in the Air Force. And I was, as a matter of fact, wearing uniform since I was an Air Force cadet. I was wearing uniform since I was 15 years old. In the beginning, I resented the whole fact of clothing, but I remember the first time I went home from the Air Force Academy and I was wearing the uniform. Man, let me tell you, I was so proud. I was so proud of my uniform with my beret like this, and my clothing, and my whatever is, I felt great. And then I came home and I saw all my friends look at me and they were like, wow. And I was like, oh my goodness, look at you guys. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it's been a week. I went a week, and then that first Shabbat we came home, I couldn't believe. Looking at them, I said, wow, the clothing represents something. They tell an image of who you are. In the army, they're very particular about the way you dress. There's a certain dress code. You got to be iron. You got to be so careful about how. And this is all about situational awareness, about being aware of how you look and realizing that the clothes mean something. They mean something. They carry a meaning with them and a certain message in which you want to carry further. That's why I don't like those guys who think it's like a good thing to wear, a fedora hat that looks like a whole, herd of Mustangs riding over it with your shirt out and like your beard all over the place. You're not a Viking, man. Tuck your shirt in. Look like a human being. Look nice. I mean, you're not going to go to work with your shirt, hanging out. Oops. Right? So you're a Ben Torah, you're a frum Jew, look like a person, man. Look like a person. You represent something. Your clothes mean something. So your clothing really tell a lot about who you are. So you can market yourself based on the clothing. And it's not just the clothing. The clothing covers the whole entire body. In a way, shows us an image in which we want to represent ourselves in society. That's why it's a little difficult to go, the idea, leave the issue of tzniut to the side. But there's something fundamentally, I think, wrong in terms of society. Walking around, let's say, with a Speedo in the beach. Because it says that you basically don't care. You don't care about the way you look, and you don't care about the way people look at you. We need to be dignified in the way we wear, the clothes that we wear. And you got to be very, very careful about that. So that's the whole thing here about the Kohen Gadol. So in this week's parasha, we learned that the Kohanim, for example, are ordered to wear special clothing, what we say, lechavod u'letiferet. Something that's going to be wow. Right? Like what Brooks Brothers used to be. Something like top of the line. And so, as we said, clothing has to do a lot with how you present yourself. But Bala Akedah, Yitzchak Arama, says something which I think it's wonderful. It really is wonderful. And it really changed the whole way I looked at things. So he says, for example, a Kohen Gadol wears a overcoat it's made out of tchelet, out of blue. And at the edge of it, there were pa'amonim, little bells, which they found a bell like this years ago in Israel, in Ir David. And that is the bell that only a Kohen Gadol would wear. Yeah, I showed it to you a long time ago. So there were pa'amonim, bells, and rimonim. Rimonim were basically like an ornament that looks like a pomegranate. And
like the thing we have on the Sefer Torah?
No, that we call rimonim. It's just like a shape of a pomegranate, but made out of gold. However, to those ornaments, to the shape and to the order, there is a tremendous meaning behind them. It says the pa'amonim would made out of special material, and almost like cloth kind of material. And the noise that they would make was very minor. They would not make a lot of noise. Okay? And even that was only 1 and 2. So, let me see.
Well,
Yeah, that's the palmon. Oh my goodness. Yeah, Rabotai, this is the bell. I don't know if they see. Can you see over there? That's the bell of the Kohen Gadol that they found in Jerusalem that he used to wear. It's made out of pure gold, 24 karat gold, and it's a bell. It was the Kohen Gadol was wearing, and that's how they actually found it. It's amazing.
Right. We were there.
Oh, yeah. Let me just show you again because now you went out. Where is it? Yeah. See, guys, because we were there. We were there. See if you can find a Rimon in so now, so between Pa'amon, between one bell and another bell, there was always a Rimon. There was always a pomegranate. And the hint of that is to the Kohen that he carries a tremendous responsibility, which is the spiritual responsibility or the spiritual leadership of Am Yisrael. He's in charge of the spirituality of Am Yisrael. He's the high priest. And the hint for him is don't talk too much. Don't make a lot of noise. You need to be busy with action, with asiyah, with action. And by doing so, you are justifying yourself and the job that you are holding. By doing, not by talking. The voice is going to be determined only when it's needed. The voice is going to be heard only when it's needed. And even when it's needed, not too much. Emor me'at ve'aseh harbe, Chazal tells us. Speak little and do a lot.
Like Avraham Avinu.
The rimon, the pomegranate, represents something also. That's a fruit that the inside of it, the seeds inside of it, are the greatest advantage of the fruit. It's all inside, those little seeds. Now, for example, if you're a CEO or you are a mayor or president or anything like that, you could be talking about. But at the end, nothing, no words will be able to substitute for your internal qualities. So you got to be very aware of who you are and why you are in relation to your job and what you represent. And that's true for us. Now, we're going to talk about the business world, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a CEO, again, you're a mayor, you're a president, and so on and so forth. You have to be in constant action, in constant doing, where it's also productive. It has to be productive action. That way you're going to be involved with all the time. It's very easy to get carried away with talking and meetings and so on and so forth that many times would prevent you from really understanding what the market is, or learning what your customers need, or the people who voted you, or your congregates, if you're a rabbi. Because all you do is talking and talking and talking. It's very important to listen. Listen more than you talk. And to really put everybody together, but not less important, but as a matter of fact, as important, and even more so, more important, it's important to create, to be involved in action and constant progress. Not to say, oh man, this year was a good year, we made a lot of money, good, let's take it easy next year. There's no such thing. You need to keep on going. You need to earn and own every minute of your life. You gotta put an effort all the time. Don't say, oh my goodness, I'm ripped now. I'm good, I'm done. No, you're gonna keep on practicing and training. You're gonna keep on learning and learning if you become a chief rabbi. That is the message behind that. It is important for you as the leader. It's important to your company or your family. It is important for society. Whether that's society or the group of people, whether it's a group of people you learn with in yeshiva, whether it's your own family, whether it's a city, or whether it's a country. Yes, even presidents need to work on themselves. And that's why we need to be, as I said to you before, in a state of constant action and constant doing. However, how about a little chilling out time? I want to chill out a little bit. We need to go on vacation. Everybody likes to go on vacation. I'm burned out, Rabbi. Burnt out? Tried to go 12 years without taking a vacation. Then he talked to me about being burnt out. How about chilling out? I need some chill out time, Rabbi. I work very, very hard. I need some chill out time. And how, by the way, comes along with Shabbat? I mean, in Shabbat, we're supposed to really not do it. And if I told you that we need to be in constant action, come Shabbat, tells you, oh, no. Shabbat, you got to let it go. Let go, just like lay back. How does this comes along? I mean, according to that concept, well, I need to be action all the time, including Shabbat. But that's not the case. So how do we explain this? What's the secret behind it? So the Zohar says, and remember, we says ve'ata. The Zohar is beautiful. That word ve'ata is mentioned throughout the whole entire parsha. It says, and vav, that vav is vav chibur, the connection. Chibur, to connect. In English it's and, however in Hebrew it's going to be vav chibur. So it shows us there's a meaning behind the letter itself as well. And that is the vav that appears in the name of Hashem, the yud, the hey, and then the vav, and then the hey. Remember the hey from last parasha. But now we're talking about the vav. And that represents the Shefa Eloki, the divine abundance that comes from all the worlds up, all the way up from Hashem, comes down all the way down to our worlds towards us. Ata, how do you write ata? Aleph, taf, hey. So it needs to be aleph ata from aleph until taf, or we should say from A to Z, right? In other words, everything has to be towards hey, to Hashem. Everything. However, and we said that the letter hey, last week we said that represents our world and our needs and so on and so forth. So what would we get from here? So we get from here that the word ve'ata, as we just said, means the connection or the ability to connect to the divine abundance from A to Z throughout the Vav, which is the connecting factor, the connecting pipe that brings the Shefa from up all the way down to our world, to the Hey. Everything. And that Hey is the reality of our lives. But Shabbat, the Shefa comes by itself. The abundance comes from itself. So therefore Shabbat we don't need to make any chibur on our part. But what does it mean? Is to come to hint us that if you feel a blockage in the abundance that comes from above, something is not working right. The problem is with you, not with Hashem. With you. You, from A to Z, somewhere along the line, you haven't dedicated to Hashem. Something is missing. Maybe you're too selfish. I don't know. Each one to his own. But the chisaron, the lacking, comes because of us. All we need to do is just connect to it. It's just waiting there on hold. But we need to connect it. So last week, we learned that in order to elevate the hay, right, what we need to do is that we need to elevate the hay, to bring it to elevate our reality to a different reality, to mishum leharim, to lift it up to a reality of holiness. This week the Torah comes and teaches us that after we elevated the hay, we need to connect it with the vav, and that is the kavanah of your heart that needs to be in every physical action of your life. You have to, and that's when we are going to enter. In other words, leafkid, leafkid, also to deposit. When we're going to deposit our life into an action that is directed to Hashem, in other words, the action of kedusha, of holiness, into an aspect of love, into an aspect of giving, then the results of our actions, our hands, and the words of our mouth are going to become powerful, and they're going to become meaningful. Because when you are talking empty words with nothing to back it up, there's no force, they fall on deaf ears, as they say. But when your words are carrying meaning that comes from a place of love, and that's how you give tochecha to someone, from a place of love, from a place of caring, then your words are going to be heard because they have a weight behind them. There's some power that pushes them, further. And it'll be the same thing as, let's say, for example, somebody makes food from you that is made with all the love and affection and caring behind it. To food that somebody came, he made it because he doesn't really care about you. And that's the difference between your mother's food and somebody else's food. Most of the time. In other words, if we have to summarize the whole thing, is we have to take responsibility. We have to own every action of our lives, in all aspects of our life, whether it's our thoughts, our actions, we have to own it. We have to be aware of what we're doing and why are we doing it for. And this is in order to really experience and to feel success, a real success in our actions. And that responsibility needs to be on all levels. Again, as an individual, as leaders, as society, as family, all aspects of our life. That responsibility, that level of caring, and that elevation to holiness has to be. Otherwise, we fall apart as people, which we see today. We fall apart as societies. We fall apart as great nations, because we don't have the need to elevate and to bring it to stay truthful from A to Z, all for the honor of Hashem. Shabbat Shalom and Purim Sameach.